Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskar. You have stepped into a course that is going to change the way that you look at data. Not just how you analyze it, but also how you communicate it. My name is Nivid Desai. I serve as the Program Executive at Writing Studio IIT Gandhinagar. Welcome to Writing for Data Science. This course is at the intersection of analysis and communication. As all of us know, data analysis is not just about coding and models. It is about solving real-world problems. And that is exactly why every single thought that goes into solving those problems needs to be communicated. And not just to one audience, across multiple stakeholders. That is where this course comes in. This course prepares you with the foundations of writing, especially curated for data science. We will discuss audience analysis, critical thinking, logical reasoning, as well as storytelling that is native to data science. So join me on a journey at the intersection of numbers and narratives. I'll see you in class. Namaste, hello and welcome to Writing for Data Science. My name is Nivid Desai and we are on a journey to explore the interesting intersections between numbers and narratives. Since the last lecture, we have begun exploring an entirely new topic, a new module, audience analysis. In the last lecture, we saw the foundations of audience analysis, what it means, how to do it, and why is it important. In today's lecture, we are going to take one step further. We will explore the strategies and approaches to audience analysis, not within the realm of data science itself, but also generally for writing. Remember, we are not only looking at writing as a product in this course, we are also looking at writing as a process. So, technical or non-technical, in both these domains, these strategies and approaches to audience analysis will help us connect with our reader in the most efficient manner. So, coming up, strategies and approaches to audience analysis. The strategies and approaches to audience analysis helps us gain a deep understanding of our audience. If we don't have that, we risk of being misunderstood or ignored. So, today, let's establish the first principles of audience analysis by outlining the key strategies and approaches. Let's begin with the first principles of audience analysis. At its core, audience analysis is about ensuring that communication aligns with the needs, expectations, and knowledge levels of its recipients. The fundamental principle of audience analysis include clarity and comprehensibility, relevance and context awareness, engagement and persuasion, and decision-driven communication. Let's double-click on all of these in some detail. Clarity and comprehensibility. Communication should match the audience's level of technical expertise. Overly complex language can alienate non-technical stakeholders, while oversimplified explanations can frustrate technical audiences. Therefore, there must be a balance. Then there is relevance and context awareness. Different audiences have distinct priorities. An executive may focus on business impact, while a data scientist may require methodological rigor. Tailoring the content ensures that the message resonates with the audience's specific concerns. As we know, just like the audiences are dynamic, the concerns will also be dynamic. Let's look at the next principle of audience analysis: engagement and persuasion. Storytelling, data visualization, and rhetorical strategies enhance audience engagement. Addressing audience-specific challenges fosters buy-in and actionable decision making. This helps us connect with the audience further and ensure a certain conversion ratio. It also helps us retain attention and engagement with our writing. All of this is to lead towards the last principle, decision driven communication. The end goal of most data communication is to inform or persuade decision makers. Effective audience analysis ensures that the message supports efficient and well informed decision making. So, the rigor of the analysis should also be strong, just as much as the rigor of the communication. So, how to do it? Let's now dive into some strategies for audience analysis. A structured approach to audience analysis involves systematically evaluating audience needs, adjusting communication styles, and selecting appropriate delivery methods. We've discussed about this in the last lecture as well. Identifying the audience, assessing audience needs and expectations, segmenting audiences, and tailoring the messages. These are the strategies that we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Let's first look at identifying the audience. What kind of strategies can we use to identify our audiences? The first step in audience analysis is determining who will receive the communication. A useful approach is to classify audiences based on some criteria. For example, technical proficiency. I have been asking you to trust your gut instinct to judge somebody as being technical or non-technical. Is the audience composed of data scientists, general business professionals, or external stakeholders? These kinds of categorization will help us determine the technical density of our communication. Then, decision-making authority. Are the executives making strategic decisions, middle managers implementing policies, or operational staff needing practical guidance? These levels of decision making will also help us regulate our message. Then, engagement level. Are there primary stakeholders directly affected by the findings or secondary stakeholders with indirect interests? All of these strategies, all of these categories will help us identify who the audience is. Let's move on now to the second strategy, assessing audience needs and expectations. To ensure relevance, communicators must determine what the audience already knows. What is their current pool of knowledge on which further knowledge can be built? Avoid redundancy for experts, but provide necessary background for non-specialists. Like I said, there has to be a balance. Here's how to determine what the audience needs to know. We can identify the information that is most crucial for decision making. If our audiences are decision makers, then the insight that leads to decision making will be the most crucial for them. If you want to estimate how the audience prefers to receive information, here's a little heuristic. Executives may prefer dashboards and summaries, while data scientists may require detailed technical reports. Here's another tip. Conducting informal surveys, stakeholder interviews, or analyzing past communication and interactions can provide valuable insights into audience expectations. If there is a tradition, if there is a convention in your organization, try to explore that and see if your message can fit within those criteria. Next, let's look at the strategy of segmenting audiences and tailoring messages. Once the audience is identified, segmentation allows for message customization. Executives and business leaders, they require clear, high-level summaries with actionable insights. So, bullet points, financial projections, and risk assessments are really effective for this bunch of audience. Then, data scientists and engineers might require details on methodologies, assumptions, and technical limitations. So, for them, transparent documentation, equations, and code snippets are valuable. Let's look at another audience segment: marketing, sales, and operation teams. They would need insights that relate directly to customer behavior and business impact. So, for them, simplified visualizations and trend summaries work the best. Adapting the language, the tone, and depth of communication ensures maximum comprehension and engagement. Now that we have discussed the strategies, let's now talk about implementation, the approaches to effective audience communication. For the second part of today's conversation, let's look at some approaches for audience communication. Once the audience has been analyzed, various approaches can be employed to enhance the effectiveness of communication. We will look at a few approaches today: adjusting language and technical depth, choosing the right format and medium, using data visualization for enhanced clarity, incorporating storytelling elements, and ensuring that accessibility and inclusivity are present. Let's look at them one by one. Number one, adjusting language and technical depth. The level of technicality should match the audience's expertise. A three-tiered approach can help over here. Let's look at a high-level, non-technical audience. For them, we may use analogies and plain language. For example, this model predicts customer churn with 90% accuracy, helping us target at-risk users proactively. This is plain language, devoid of any jargon, and most importantly, it talks about the function of the model more so than the design of the model. Because that is what non-technical audiences are more inclined towards concerning about. The next one would be intermediate level, business analysts and mid-level managers. We can provide some technical depth, but focus on application. Here's an example. The model uses historical transaction data to segment customers into high and low risk categories. Once again, the methodology is slightly mentioned, but the primary focus is on application. Then comes the deep technical audience. These are our data scientists and engineers. Here you can include algorithmic explanations, validation metrics, and performance benchmarks. Here's an example of technical communication. A logistic regression model with L1 regularization achieved an F1 score of 0.87 on test data. This right here is full of jargon, full of technical depth and density, and best made for a deep technical audience. Now let's look at the second approach: choosing the right format and medium. The delivery format should align with the audience's expectations and preferences. Here are some common formats that you and I have often come across: reports and white papers. These are best used for detailed, long form analysis. They need technical depth and documentation. You would have also heard about dashboards and visual summaries. They are effective for decision makers who need quick insights. Then there are pitches and presentations. They are useful for persuasive communication for stakeholders from a varied bunch of backgrounds. And in the end, for daily communication, there are email briefs and memos. They are ideal for executive updates or summaries where clarity and brevity are paramount. Let's look at the third approach: using data visualization for enhanced clarity. Visual representation of data can make complex insights more accessible. However, different audiences require different visualization approaches as well. For example, executives prefer trend-based visuals. For example, line charts showing revenue over time. That would be best suited for an executive. On the other hand, data scientists benefit from detailed scatter plots or model performance comparisons. Marketing, marketing and sales teams respond well to customer segmentation pie charts and heat maps. Ensuring that each visualization has a clear title, clear annotation, and takeaway message prevents any kind of misinterpretation. Let's look at the next approach, incorporating storytelling elements. As we all know, storytelling enhances engagement by structuring insight into a narrative format. A common storytelling approach, for example, follows the problem, solution, impact structure. Problem may be defining the business challenge or question. Solution would present the data-driven insights and recommendations. And the impact would explain how implementing the findings will lead to beneficial outcomes. This structure ensures that even technical audiences remain engaged by seeing the broader significance of the analysis. This is not about drawing fictional fantasy stories. This is about employing narrative coherence while designing our message. And in the end, let's talk about ensuring accessibility and inclusivity. Communication should be designed to be inclusive, ensuring that individuals with diverse backgrounds can engage with the material. Here are some strategies that can help us make our communication more inclusive. First of all, avoid excessive jargon and acronyms. Acronyms are tricky territory. Think of it this way. If I tell you NASA or NATO or ISRO, you would know what I'm talking about because they are general purpose acronyms. However, with each deeper level of technical communication, acronyms can have their own meanings within said contexts. For example, CBI can mean both Central Bank of India and Central Bureau of Investigation. If I use CBI in one meaning and you understand it in a different meaning, that may create confusion. So, either use acronyms really cautiously or try to explain them. Every time that you introduce a new acronym, use the full form so that the audience knows what to expect when that certain acronym is being used. Then you can provide alternate formats such as written transcripts for video presentations or memos for PPT presentations. You can also ensure color accessibility in visualizations to accommodate colorblind individuals. These are some strategies to make our communication as inclusive and as accommodating as possible. In the end, I would like to emphasize once again that audience analysis strategies and approaches allow professionals to tailor their messaging for maximum clarity, relevance, and impact. These strategies and approaches include identifying the audience, assessing their needs, segmenting the messages appropriately, and then choosing the right communication formats. Ensuring this entire series of mindful, intentional practice helps insights lead to meaningful action. As conscious communicators, we must remember that audience analysis, adjusted technical depth, strategic visualizations, and storytelling enhances engagement and facilitates decision making across a diverse range of stakeholders. And that is what we are here for, to become dynamic communicators who can adjust our messages based on the requirements of different audiences. That was it from my end for the strategies and approaches to audience analysis. In the next lecture, we will keep exploring the different components of audience analysis in much better depth. Until then, stay curious and keep learning. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaskar.